Well, we here, bruh. We are officially here. We've been talking about this. And see, it's one thing to have an idea about what's going on, but to officially see it on paper, we got a lot to talk about. First, we got to do some reading. After that, we got a lot to talk about, bro. Check this out. There's a lawsuit against Spotify that claims billions of Drake streams were fraudulent. Billions. Billions, bruh. A new class action lawsuit against Spotify alleges the company has turned a blind eye to mass scale fraudulent streaming on its platform, and that one musician in particular has been the beneficiary of billions of fake streams. Drake. We have all figured, right? And people will call you crazy, people, all this different type of stuff, that obviously Drake had been saying that Kendrick was botting, right? Because this was a rebuttal to what Kendrick was saying in 616 in LA when it comes to you playing dirty with Zach being Twitter bots. So he's deflecting the narrative, right? But after he deflected it, he actually started to push propaganda and even use the acts of J. Cole and all that different stuff to push this propaganda. And I'm not saying he intentionally used J. Cole, but J. Cole helped further this propaganda. And then media outlets all over the place started pushing that propaganda. Next thing you know, it landed on Doechii. But so that makes me very curious as to how everybody's going to talk about this. How is everybody going to cover this? I'm talking about like the major podcasts, like the Joe Budden podcast, Rory and Mal, all these different hip hop podcasts, radio shows. How are they going to cover this? Let's keep going though. The suit was filed in California District Court on Sunday night with rapper and cousin of Snoop Dogg, RBX, named as the lead plaintiff. While the most eye-popping allegations in the suit relate to Drake's streaming numbers, there are no specific accusations of wrongdoing against the Nokia rapper. Only Spotify is named as a defendant. Every month under Spotify's watchful eye, billions of fraudulent streams are generated from fake, illegitimate, and or illegal methods like bots, the lawsuit states. Such mass-scale streaming fraud, it continues, causes massive financial harm to legitimate artists, songwriters, producers, and other rights holders. And I'm not gonna lie. We'll save that. Let's keep reading. Streaming royalties are paid out through... You know what? Nah, I'm going to say it. This actually paints a completely different picture for the way things took place. Especially after, I want to say 2016, like when he really started leaning into the pop stuff. The financial harm that he might have been doing to the ecosystem in general, right? When he's using these bots. This could have created more incentive in a battle between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. And it actually that battle holds a lot more weight. When Kendrick Lamar says, what do you say? Just walk that man down. That'll do everyone a solid. Like, this makes sense. Streaming royalties are paid out through a stream share model where subscription and ad dollars are put into a giant pool with the money divvied up based on each artist's share of the total streams. Most of that money already flows upstream to the most successful artists and biggest rights holders. In this type of share pool model, fake streams hurt other artists whose shares aren't inflated. Spotify representatives for Drake did not immediately respond to a request for comment. That's interesting. So, yeah, they basically rigging the game. You try to rig the game, but you can't fake influence. Like, it all, like, bro, it's all tying in. You feel what I'm saying? While the lawsuit suggests that use of bots is widespread on Spotify, the only example it cites pertains to Drake. It claims voluminous information, which Spotify knows or should know, proves that a substantial non-trivial percentage of Drake's approximately 37 billion streams were inauthentic and appeared to be the work of a sprawling network of bot accounts. 37 billion? $37 billion illegal streams. Drake had approximately 37 billion illegal streams. Hold on, man. Hold on, bro. Time out. So you telling me Drake has been saying everybody be using these bots. Drake has been accusing Kendrick of using the bots, etc. But Drake has approximately 37 billion inauthentic streams? Not only has Drake been using bots, it seems like the majority of the streams that Drake has gotten in recent memory have been inauthentic. 37 billion? $37 billion. This is crazy, bro. This is insane. Bro, is that it? No, there's more. This allegedly fraudulent activity took place between January 2022 and September 2025. According to the complaint, it claims an examination of Drake's streams revealed abnormal VPN usage had obscured the location of the bot account streaming Drake's songs. For instance, the lawsuit claims that over a 4-day period in 2024, at least 250,000 streams of his song No Face originated in Turkey, but were falsely geomapped through the coordinated use of VPNs to the United Kingdom in an attempt to obscure their origins. Bro. Nah, this is crazy. So hold on. You telling me Drake been getting his streams from Turkey? And that doesn't mean that nobody else is doing this, but apparently Drake is the main guy. I mean, they really mentioning Drake in this lawsuit. 250,000 streams for his song No Face were botted. And they were falsely geomapped through the coordinated use of VPNs to obscure the origins. 250,000 botted streams on No Face. We've been saying that Drake been botting these streams on these new songs. That's the only thing that makes sense. To find out that a song as recent as No Face? Come on, bro. This is crazy. I don't know what, for the people that's been talking about bots with Doechii, bots with Kendrick, how are y'all gonna talk about this? I gotta know, bro. I gotta know. The lawsuit also alleges that a large percentage of accounts streaming Drake's music were geographically concentrated around areas whose population cannot support such a high volume of streams. No exact places or numbers were given, though the suit claimed that some streams reportedly originated in areas with 0 residential addresses. Interesting. The lawsuit also cites significant and irregular uptick months for Drake's songs long after they've been released, as well as slower and less dramatic decay rates for Drake's music compared to his contemporaries. Exactly. So when people are on Twitter, right, on social media saying, well, Drake has been sitting at 81 million monthly listeners for how long? Drake has been sitting at 81 million for how long? And Kendrick keeps going down. Well, that's because there you go. There you go, buddy. It's right there in your face. It's right there in your face. Drake fans been holding this monthly listener stuff over people's heads for I don't know how long, talking about Drake's monthly listener stays at 81 million and it never changes. Why does Kendrick and Doechie's change? Well, now you know. The lawsuit also states significant and irregular uptick months for Drake's songs long after they've been released, as well as slower and less dramatic decay rates for Drake's music compared to his contemporaries. It was all propaganda. It was all propaganda the whole time. It was all propaganda. Okay? The lawsuit further claims that the number of streams of Drake's music attributable to individual accounts is staggering and irregular, with a massive amount of accounts listening to Drake's music doing so 23 hours a day. So these bots are listening to these songs all day. Less than 2% of these users, the lawsuit goes on to claim, account for roughly 15% of Drake's streams, and about 9% of Drake's streams are attributable to less than 1% of these users. Bruh. Wow. 15%. As a result, the complaint claims Drake's music accumulated far higher total streams compared to other highly streamed artists, even though those artists had far more users than Drake. So it's not even just Kendrick. It's been a lot of artists that's probably been getting more organic streams than Drake. And that's been everybody's whole argument about Drake, is the streams. The lawsuit does not state how the plaintiffs or their lawyers obtained this data, nor does it shed any light on how the analysis of Drake's streaming numbers was conducted. These allegedly fraudulent streams generated significant revenues for Drake and his company Frozen Moments at the expense of other artists, the lawsuit claims. But it also states that Spotify deliberately turns a blind eye to fraudulent streaming for its own benefit. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So we got a lot to talk about. We got so much to talk about in these upcoming videos, bruh. But I'm shooting this really late, so I'll shoot those videos earlier in the day tomorrow. But we got a lot to talk about, bro. Because a lot of stuff is making sense. But you telling me that Spotify, it all makes sense, was allowing Drake to do this for their own benefit. And I'm assuming that they're about to tell us what that benefit is. While Spotify has taken steps in recent years to combat and tamp down streamer fraud, the lawsuit casts doubt on the efficacy of these measures and Spotify's own incentives to stop fraud. It suggests that Spotify is particularly vulnerable to bots on the platform's ad-supported free tier because a myriad accounts can be generated without handing over a credit card number. By allegedly allowing bots to run rampant, Spotify can present high stream and user activity numbers to potential advertisers, the lawsuit alleges. This is crazy. This is crazy. We about to get into some interesting times, bro, in this industry. For sure. Like, for Spotify, more users and music streams means more advertising dollars, so long as the true origin of the streams remains hidden, the lawsuit states. Wow. Spotify also loses money in the form of royalty payouts whenever fraudulent streaming occurs. Bro. So when that happens, they're making more advertising dollars. Artists across the streaming industry need accurate reporting of streams and effective fraud detection to ensure fair compensation. When streams are artificially inflated on a large scale, as my client's lawsuit alleges has happened with respect to streams of Drake's music, it affects the income of countless songwriters, performers, and producers. Bruh. Mark Piefko, one of the lawyers with Barron and Bud who filed the lawsuit on behalf of RBX, tells Rolling Stone. The lawsuit seeks to address these broader issues, recoup losses for affected musicians, and make the streaming ecosystem as fair and transparent as possible for everyone involved. Oh my goodness. This is interesting. And once again, when these bot farms are allowed to run, apparently affects the ecosystem for songwriters, performers, and producers, and that makes a lot of sense. The new lawsuit and the claims regarding Drake's music notably come just weeks after a judge tossed Drake's lawsuit against Universal Music Group, which contained its own allegations of streaming fraud. Though technically a defamation case, Drake accused his own record label, UMG, of artificially inflating the popularity of Kendrick Lamar's diss track, Not Like Us, marking arguably the most high-profile allegation of streaming fraud to date. Wow, UMG denied all Drake's allegations and the streamer fraud claims specifically, writing in March filing, there is no evidence of any such stream manipulation. Bro, so the crazy thing is, UMG could very well be botting other people, but them saying there's no evidence of the stream manipulation for Kendrick Lamar or even other artists might just be, and I feel like there's got to be a portion of bot streams on any song, because songs that get that big, even people who are running their own like bot playlists where they got these songs of all this different stuff, that like those type of things can happen too, right? So there's got to be bot streams to all of these major songs, but I think it gets really crazy when you can tell when somebody's doing it in a malicious way, because of these type of numbers, like 35 billion streams. That's crazy. Kendrick streams might majority, right? And I say might majority because who knows, it might not be bots on them shits, but might majority be real streams. And it will make sense why when Kendrick performs at the level he's performing at, you see the actual influence worldwide, versus Drake is supposed to appear as this and isn't really delivering that. It makes sense why Drake has all these streams but never did a stadium tour. This is okay. This is all making a lot of sense. The new lawsuit and it claims streaming fraud has been a topic of discussion in the industry for years. While pinpointing just how rampant it is and calculating corresponding losses is difficult, most estimates hover in the range of hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. A 2019 Rolling Stone report noted that fake streams could be costing artists $300 million a year. A 2023 study in France found that between 1 and 3% of all streams in the country were fake. If those numbers held true globally, that would mean royalty losses up to $510 million. Last year, BedTap, a streaming fraud detection program, estimated that at least 10% of all streams are fraudulent, leading to annual losses of 2 to 3 billion. Oh my goodness, it makes sense what's going on, bruh. It makes sense what's going on. Bruh, there's so much clarity to so many different things by just reading this now. Efforts to crack down on streamer fraud have ramped up around the world. A Danish man was convicted last year, while another individual was arrested in Brazil back in March. Over the summer, officials in Turkey, where the lawsuit says some of the allegedly fraudulent Drake streams originated, started investigating Spotify over several allegations, including bribes for playlist placement and bot streams distorting domestic charts. All the way up to messing up the charts, bruh. This is crazy. A rep for Spotify told Music Business Worldwide at the time that they are cooperating with the investigation, are actively seeking to understand it, and will work toward a swift, constructive resolution with the Turkish Competition Authority. In the U.S., federal prosecutors brought an unprecedented streamer fraud indictment last September against a North Carolina musician named Michael Smith. Smith is accused of using artificial intelligence to generate hundreds of thousands of songs, which he then allegedly streamed with bots. The feds claimed that at one point, Smith had as many as 10,000 active bot accounts streaming his music and allegedly made over $10 million from this scheme. Bruh. Drake filed his first legal claims over Not Like Us just 2 months after Smith was arrested and indicted. Interesting. And the official defamation suit was brought in January of this year. The streaming fraud allegations against UMG were based on statements from a purported anonymous whistleblower who appeared on the show by DJ Academics, which that was the popular streamer and long-time Drake associate. As stated in Drake's lawsuit, the whistleblower claimed that Lamar's label, Interscope, paid him $2,500 via third parties to use bots to achieve 30 million streams on Spotify in the initial days following the release of Not Like Us. Yeah, and I remember that stream. I remember when those clips were going around and it was just some random dude behind a phone. You couldn't even see his picture. He was just saying a bunch of stuff like it was just like, come on. Per the suit, the whistleblower said the goal was jump-starting the song's spread and making a crazy hit on the platform. UMG, in a motion to dismiss, noted the whistleblower directly refuted his own claim when he said that he was hired by Lamar's manager, Anthony Saleh. In a revised complaint filed in April, Drake pared down his allegation, claiming UMG was aware that third parties were using bots to stream the recording and turning a blind eye, despite having the power to stop such behavior. Yeah, that makes sense. He did turn his own statement right there, too. The original suit also alleged that UMG conferred financial benefits to Apple so that Siri would purposely misdirect users to Not Like Us when they asked it to play Drake's album. That's hilarious. Certified Lover Boy. This claim was sourced partly to a viral video posted by Jeremy Heck, who later clarified that Siri appeared capable of pulling up songs based on just lyrics it recognized, thus asking Siri to play Certified Lover Boy without specifying by Drake can conceivably trigger Not Like Us because of Lamar's line, Certified Lover Boy, certified. So yeah, the song could be coming up simply because of those lyrics, and that narrative was insane too. Even before Drake filed his defamation lawsuit, many legal experts and industry figures were skeptical of his allegations and their viability in court. Speaking with Rolling Stone last year about the petition, Brian Zizou, co-founder of the streaming service AudioMac, even suggested Drake might regret asking Universal to provide documentation of artificial streaming. I mean, that's kind of what everybody had been talking about in general. Like, we've been talking about that, like, the fact that Drake was putting himself in a sticky situation, asking for this stuff. It's likely that a lot of artists, Drake included, have been. This is Brian Zeuss talking. It's likely that a lot of artists, Drake included, have benefited from streaming bots without their knowledge. He said. Zizou also noted that many top artists have labels and distribution partners who have opted into above-board programs like Discovery Mode and have artificially manipulated streams, and the artist has no idea, and they don't ask questions because it looks good. Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense. Now, I don't know if that's the case for Drake though, because 35 billion. Come on now. Drake was aware. Ultimately, Drake's suit faltered. A judge summarily dismissed the suit's defamation accusations, ruling that Not Like Us is a diss track qualified as non-actionable opinion. While the judge's decision largely centered on the validity of Drake's defamation claims or lack thereof, she also briefly addressed his streaming fraud allegations. She said Drake's evidence essentially amounts to tweets by individual users and reporting from fans, and called his reliance on online comments and reporting insufficient to meet the plausibility standard. Obviously, the proposed class action filed Sunday claims damages in excess of $5 million. Is asking that a federal judge certify the lawsuit as a class action, order Spotify to identify alleged victims, and oversee a jury trial seeking compensatory and punitive damages. RBX-born Eric Dwayne Collins helped author Dr. Dre's West Coast anthem "Let Me Ride" and was featured on several. But anyway, so yeah. This whole thing is essentially kicking the door down on, I think, what is the true beginning on paper of really uncovering the practices that the industry went through in order to manufacture Drake. And I think we're going to continue to see this. You see what I'm saying? I think that's what's going to be going down. It's also interesting how so much of this in this lawsuit ties to other stuff. So much of the conversation in this lawsuit ties to other stuff, and it makes so many things much more sense. And we're gonna drop more videos on that today for sure. either today or tomorrow. But this makes things make so much sense. I know in the morning there's probably gonna be some form of distraction. I wouldn't be surprised by the time because I'm recording this real late, so there probably won't be a discussion. There's definitely gonna be a distraction by morning. I think that's gonna try to attempt to distract people from. I think not only I think definitely not only the Dodgers parade, right, which I think will probably feature a whole lot of Kendrick Lamar music, but from this lawsuit. You see what I'm saying? I think there's gonna be distractions tomorrow for sure. But hey, this is, man, we got a lot to talk about, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, especially if you're new here, especially if you've been here. Y'all follow my Twitch, jalopy_bungus for real. We did a versus last week. It was super dope, super fun. We're gonna be doing those more often, so y'all pull up. And then I'll put the Discord in the pinned comments so y'all can join the Discord too, man. Come rock with the Discord, you feel me? But I appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, especially if you're new here, especially if you've been here. Get your shirts below, you feel me? I'm about to be delivering shirts Wednesday. So y'all tap in, man. Appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all.